How to keep your garden pest-free using this kitchen item. PEST, safe and simple. If you've ever walked outside, excited to see your tomatoes or roses blooming beautifully, only to find chewed leaves, tiny holes, and damage everywhere, you know how frustrating that feels. Most people think the only way to protect a garden is with expensive sprays, complicated routines, or harsh chemicals that smell terrible and worry you around pets or grandkids. But it doesn't have to be that way. Today, I'm going to show you how to keep your garden pest-free using one simple kitchen item you already have in a way that's safe, gentle, and easy on your body and your budget. If you're new here, welcome to Zero to Purpose, where we help you live more intentionally and enjoy gardening without stress or overwhelm. Grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's head to the garden together.
Why pests love your garden. Before we talk about solutions, it helps to understand why pests show up in the first place. This isn't about becoming a scientist. It's about knowing just enough so that any method you try actually works. Pests, especially soft-bodied insects like aphids, whiteflies, and spider mites, are drawn to your garden for three main reasons: tender leaves, moisture, and scent. Think of it like this. Your healthy plants send out signals that say fresh food here, and insects follow those signals like a roadmap. Younger leaves and new growth are especially attractive because they're softer and easier to chew. That's why you'll often notice damage on your herbs, seedlings, or the tips of your rose bushes first, while older, tougher leaves stay untouched. Pests aren't being picky, they're just going for what's easiest. Moisture also plays a big role. Gardens that stay damp, either from heavy watering or humid weather, create the perfect environment for pests to thrive and multiply quickly. And finally, certain plants naturally smell sweeter or release oils that insects find irresistible. Here's the good news. Once you understand this, you realize you don't have to eliminate every single bug. You just need to change the message your plants are sending, make them a little less inviting, a little harder to find, and pests will often move on to easier targets. That's where simple, natural deterrents come in, and why one kitchen item can make such a difference. Let's use the three-step ease formula to get started. First, start by taking a slow, mindful walk through your garden. This isn't about rushing or feeling overwhelmed. Just notice which plants are getting hit the hardest. Are the leaves curling? Do you see tiny clusters of bugs on the undersides? Second, do a gentle inspection. Turn over a few leaves, look closely at stems, and check for trails, webbing, or sticky residue. This tells you what kind of pest you're dealing with and where they're hiding. Third, maintain this habit by repeating this quick check once or twice a week. It only takes 5 minutes, and catching problems early means you can handle them with a light touch instead of feeling like you're fighting a losing battle. The practical payoff here is huge. Instead of feeling discouraged or like your garden is out of control, you'll feel capable and calm. You'll understand what's happening, and that knowledge alone reduces stress. You're not reacting in panic, you're responding with purpose. And here's a small pro tip. Keep a little notebook or use your phone to jot down what you see each week. Over time, you'll notice patterns, like which plants attract pests first or what time of year problems start. That makes you a smarter gardener without any extra effort. The kitchen item that changes everything. The kitchen item we're talking about today is something almost everyone has: mild liquid dish soap. Specifically, a simple mixture of water and a tiny amount of gentle dish soap creates what's called insecticidal soap. And it's one of the safest, most effective ways to control soft-bodied garden pests without harsh chemicals. This isn't a trendy hack or something unproven. Gardeners, including organic farmers, have used soapy water for decades because it works, it's inexpensive, and when used correctly, it's completely safe for your plants, your soil, and you. So why does it work? Here's the simple explanation. Soft-bodied insects like aphids, mealybugs, whiteflies, and spider mites have a protective outer coating that helps them retain moisture. When diluted soap solution comes into contact with them, it breaks down that coating, causing the pests to dehydrate and die. It's a physical reaction, not a chemical poison, which is why it's considered safe. The key is using the right kind of soap and the right concentration. You want a plain, mild dish soap without added degreasers, fragrances, or antibacterial agents. Brands like Dawn, Ivory, or any unscented Castile soap work beautifully. Avoid anything labeled ultra or antibacterial, as those can harm your plants. Here's the 3-step ease formula to make and use your solution safely. Start by filling a clean spray bottle with 1 quart of room temperature water. Add just 1 to 2 teaspoons of your mild dish soap, no more. Gently swirl or shake the bottle to mix it, avoiding heavy bubbles. Less is more here. If you use too much soap, you risk damaging plant leaves, especially in hot or sunny weather. Next, do your application thoughtfully. Choose the coolest part of the day, either early morning or late evening, when the sun isn't beating down on your plants. Lightly mist the affected leaves, making sure to cover both the tops and undersides where pests hide. You don't need to drench the plant, just a light, even coating. Focus on the areas where you've seen damage or insects during your inspection. Finally, maintain your results by reapplying after rain or once a week if pests are still present. But here's the important part. Always check your plants a day after spraying. If the leaves look happy and green, you're good. If you see any yellowing or curling, dilute your mixture even more next time. The practical payoff is immediate. Within a few hours, you'll notice fewer pests on your plants. Within a few days, the damage stops spreading. And because you're using something from your kitchen, there's no trip to the garden center, no confusing labels, and no worrying about whether it's safe to touch your tomatoes or pick your herbs afterward. You can treat a plant in the morning and harvest from it that same afternoon if you rinse it gently with water. Here's your optional pro tip, and this one's important. Always test your solution on 1 or 2 leaves first, then wait 24 hours before treating the whole plant. Different plants have different sensitivities. Tender herbs like basil or delicate flowers might need a weaker solution, while tougher plants like tomatoes or roses handle the standard mix just fine. Testing first means you'll never accidentally harm a plant you're trying to protect, and that keeps your confidence high. Also, avoid spraying in direct sunlight or on very hot days, as the soap can cause leaf burn when combined with intense heat. Stick to early morning or evening, and your plants will thank you. This simple kitchen solution works because it respects both the pest problem and the plant's needs, giving you control without stress. Protecting tender plants. Gently. Now let's talk about your most vulnerable plants. Seedlings, herbs, young flowers, and anything with soft, delicate leaves. These are the plants pests find first, and they're also the ones that need the gentlest care. If you've ever started seeds indoors or transplanted small plants outside only to see them get devoured within days, this section is for you. The good news is that with just a bit of extra attention and a lighter touch, you can protect these tender plants without overwhelming them or yourself. Tender plants are like the salad bar of your garden. Pests go straight to them because the leaves are soft, easy to chew, and full of moisture. Seedlings haven't developed their tougher outer layers yet, and herbs like basil, cilantro, and parsley have thin, fragrant leaves that insects love. Young flowers, especially petunias, marigolds, and zinnias, are also prime targets. So the first step is simply recognizing which plants in your garden fall into this category. Walk through and identify your high-risk plants, the ones that need your lightest, most careful protection. Using the 3-step ease formula, here's how to protect them. Start by picking out your most tender plants. Make a mental note or even place a small marker near them so you remember to check them more often. These are your priority plants. Next, do your treatment with a lighter hand. Instead of using the standard soap and water mixture, dilute it even further. Use half the amount of soap or about 1 teaspoon per quart of water. When you spray, hold the bottle farther away and mist lightly, almost like you're refreshing the plant rather than soaking it. Focus on the undersides of leaves where pests hide, but avoid drenching the delicate new growth at the top. Finally, maintain by watching how each plant responds. If a plant looks stressed, skip it for a few days and try hand-picking visible pests instead. If it looks healthy and pest-free, continue your light weekly treatments. The practical payoff is that you'll feel confident starting new plants and trying new varieties. So many gardeners, especially seniors, avoid growing herbs or flowers from seed because they worry about losing them to pests. But with this gentle method, you can protect your investment of time and care without any harsh products. You'll see your seedlings grow strong, your herbs stay lush and ready to harvest, and your flowers bloom without being eaten before they even open. It's incredibly rewarding. Here's a small pro tip that works beautifully with tender plants. Pair your light soap spray with gentle hand picking in the early morning. Many pests, especially slugs and caterpillars, move slowly when it's cool and dewy outside. A quick walk with a small container lets you pluck off visible bugs by hand, which is sometimes faster and gentler than any spray. Combine that with your weekly misting, and your tender plants stay healthy and thriving all season long. Easy barrier and boundary tricks. Here's something most gardeners don't think about. You don't have to spray every single plant in your garden. Instead, you can use your simple kitchen solution as part of a barrier or boundary strategy. This approach is especially helpful for seniors who want effective pest control without bending over every plant or spending hours in the garden. By focusing on a few strategic zones where pests first enter or gather, you can protect your whole garden with much less effort. Pests don't appear randomly. They follow edges, pathways, and entry points. They crawl up from the soil, move along raised bed borders, travel across patios or stepping stones, and climb up pot rims. If you can make those entry points less inviting, you stop pests before they ever reach your plants. That's the idea behind barriers and boundaries, and it works surprisingly well. Let's use the 3-step ease formula to put this into practice. Start by identifying the spots where pests first seem to show up. Walk around your garden and notice where you see the most damage. Is it near the pots on your patio, along the edge of a raised bed, around the base of a specific plant? Those are your target zones. Next, do your barrier work by using your soap solution on non-plant surfaces. For example, lightly wipe or spray the rims of pots, the edges of raised beds, or stepping stones near affected plants. You can even create a light line of solution on the ground around a particularly vulnerable plant, though you'll need to refresh this after watering or rain. The idea is to create a subtle do not cross zone that pests find unpleasant or confusing. You're not building a fortress, just adding a gentle deterrent. Finally, maintain these zones by refreshing them after rain or heavy watering, usually once or twice a week. Use only a small amount so you're not creating strong smells or slippery surfaces. Keep it light and consistent. The practical payoff is significant, especially for seniors. Instead of treating every plant individually, you're focusing on a handful of strategic spots. That means less bending, less reaching, less time standing in the sun, and less product used overall. You're working smarter, not harder, and your garden still stays protected. You'll also notice that once pests hit that first barrier and turn away, they often leave your whole garden alone and move on to easier targets elsewhere. Here's a powerful optional pro tip. Combine your barriers with sacrificial plants or decoys. This sounds fancy, but it's incredibly simple. Place 1 or 2 plants that pests love, like nasturtiums or a single basil plant, away from your main garden. Pests will flock to those decoy plants first, leaving your prized tomatoes, roses, or herbs alone. You can let the decoy plants get nibbled without worry, or treat just those plants with your soap solution. This strategy is especially helpful if you have limited mobility because it concentrates pest activity in one easy-to-reach spot instead of scattered throughout your garden. It's a clever, low-effort trick that makes pest control feel almost effortless, and it's something experienced organic gardeners have used for years. If these simple ideas are sparking some inspiration for your own garden, I'd love it if you'd tap the like button. It helps more gardeners, especially those looking for gentle, safe solutions, find this video. And tell me in the comments, which plant are you most excited to protect this season? Is it your tomatoes, your roses, your herbs, maybe a flower bed? I always love hearing what you're growing and what matters most to you. Remember, there's no such thing as a perfect garden. Every small step you take, every plant you protect is progress. You're doing great. Bonus tip. Here's the thing most people overlook, and it's the one habit that makes any pest control method, including this simple kitchen solution, actually work long-term. Consistency in a small, gentle routine. You don't need to spend hours in your garden or become an expert. You just need a few minutes twice a week to check in and touch up. That's it. But most people skip this step because they think it has to be complicated or time-consuming, and that's where pest problems get out of hand. Here's the 3-step ease formula for building that routine. Start by setting a simple reminder. Maybe it's right after your morning tea or coffee or during your evening walk. Pick a time that already feels natural in your day, so this habit fits in without feeling like a chore. Next, do your quick garden walk. Step outside with your small spray bottle in hand and check your 3 most important plants. Look for new damage, spot any pests early, and touch up any areas where insects have returned. This takes 5 minutes, maybe less. Finally, maintain by keeping your spray bottle in a visible, easy-to-reach spot. Don't store it under the sink or in the garage. Leave it near your back door, on a garden shelf, or in a basket with your gloves. When it's easy to grab, you'll actually use it. The practical payoff is that pests never get out of control. You catch problems when they're tiny and easy to handle, so you never face that overwhelming moment of walking outside and seeing widespread damage. Your garden becomes part of a soothing, purposeful routine instead of a source of stress. And here's a small pro tip. Pair this habit with something you enjoy. Bring your tea outside, listen to the birds, notice what's blooming. When you connect pest checks with something pleasant, it stops feeling like work and starts feeling like a peaceful ritual. So, no matter the size of your garden, your experience level, or your physical limitations, you can keep your plants healthy and pest-free with this one simple kitchen item. It's safe, it's affordable, and it works beautifully when you use it thoughtfully. You don't need fancy products, complicated schedules, or hours of hard work. Just a gentle routine, a bit of attention, and one small bottle of soapy water. Pick one plant that matters most to you, maybe your favorite tomato or that rose bush you love, and try today's method on just that plant this week. Let it teach you what works. Then build from there. Drop a comment below and tell me what you're starting with. I'd genuinely love to hear what you're protecting and how it goes for you. And if you'd like more simple, doable ideas for living and gardening with purpose, subscribe and join us here at Zero to Purpose, where we grow life one gentle step at a time. Thanks so much for being here today. I'll see you in the next video. Settings. Add all caps subtitles with a spoken word. Highlight. Use YouTube audio library. Only use appropriate media. Use a male voice with a southern accent for the narrator.